What's up, beautiful and amazing souls? Welcome to Africa Unchained, and in today's video, we are going to talk about a couple of things from the herbal school that is being incorporated into universities in Burkina Faso because the president has allowed, and also how Africa is at the moment. It's a plan. It's a plan, guys. Let's listen to this video and then we come back and do more analysis.
If you wanted to stop Africa from becoming a superpower, you wouldn't have to invent a new strategy. The blueprint has already been written, tested, and perfected over centuries. You'd start by making sure Africa never unites. The easiest way to do that is by keeping people divided along ethnic, tribal, and religious lines. If they ever start working together, remind them of past grievances. Stoke old wounds. Fund separatist movements. Keep border disputes unresolved. Make sure every time they take one step forward, they take 2 steps back because they're too busy fighting each other. You'd install leaders who serve foreign interests, not their people. Find the most corrupt, the most easily manipulated, the ones who crave wealth and status more than progress. Offer them power in exchange for loyalty. If a leader rises who actually cares about Africa, get rid of them. Assassinate them if necessary. But if that's too messy, just destabilize their government and back a coup. If they talk about nationalizing resources, make an example out of them. If they try to unite Africa, take them out before the idea spreads. You'd keep Africa economically weak by making sure it never industrializes. Let them export raw materials but never process them themselves. Control the mines, the oil fields, the rare earth minerals. Keep them selling cheap and buying expensive. If a country tries to break free and build its own industries, sabotage it. Place sanctions, destabilize its currency, fund local opposition, crash its economy. If that doesn't work, orchestrate a civil war. People can't build when they're too busy trying to survive. You'd make sure their education system produces workers, not innovators. Teach them history that glorifies their oppressors. Make them think their cultures are primitive. Their ancestors were savages. Their future depends on foreign approval. Train them to memorize, not to think critically. Keep their best and brightest looking overseas for opportunities. Make them dream of escaping Africa rather than fixing it. Offer scholarships that take their top minds to the West and never encourage them to return. Let the continent keep training doctors and engineers only for them to go enrich other nations. You'd control their narratives. Own their media, control their stories, dictate their image to the world. Make them believe they are corrupt, hopeless, eternally in crisis. Flood their screens with poverty porn and war zones. Show them charity ads that make them believe they are helpless without foreign aid. Downplay their successes. Twist their victories into isolated incidents. If an African country develops a groundbreaking innovation, credit a foreign investor. If an African leader implements a successful policy, frame it as an anomaly rather than proof of competence. You'd make sure they remain dependent. Drown them in debt. Offer loans with impossible conditions. Force them to privatize everything so foreign corporations own their water, their electricity, their land. When they struggle, give them just enough aid to keep them alive, but never enough to make them self-sufficient. Use charities to create a culture of reliance rather than resilience. Make them think foreign intervention is necessary, that they can't solve their own problems, that they always need help from the outside. You'd suppress their military strength. Keep their armies weak, their defense industries non-existent. Sell them weapons to fight each other, but never let them develop high-tech military technology. If a country tries to build a strong defense system, accuse them of being a threat to stability. Make sure they always need foreign peacekeepers, foreign military bases, foreign advisors controlling their security. Keep them vulnerable to invasion, coups, and foreign interference. The formula is simple. Divide, corrupt, exploit, miseducate, control. Keep them fighting each other. Keep them looking outside for solutions. Keep them poor, dependent, insecure. Make sure every attempt to break free is met with resistance so strong that the next generation thinks twice before trying again. This isn't a theory. It's history. The real question isn't how to stop Africa from becoming a superpower. It's how Africa can break the cycle despite every effort to keep it down.
This is not even funny. You see this guy here is called Dylan. He's a Briton with the biggest TikTok page. The guy has 15 million followers. Every single video on his page, over 1 million views. So he does a video about Traore the other day. Of course, it was a positive video. The changes Traore is bringing in his country, the way he's naturalized natural resources, all the good things Traore is doing. So Dylan does an awesome video about Traore. In just a few hours, the video is at 6 million. And all of a sudden, boom, his account disappears. His TikTok account just disappears. No guidelines, no community guidelines, no warning, nothing. Nothing, no email. His account just disappears. The good thing, he has some contacts in TikTok office in Britain. So he calls. What's happening to my account? My account is down. They bring back his account. But guess what? All his videos, even done a year ago, months ago, all marked community guidelines, community guidelines, community guidelines, community guidelines. And you know what's even funnier? The video that he did with Traore is missing. It's no video, nothing is missing from his profile. Guys, if you get to know how desperate the globalists, the neo-colonialists are about keeping Africa under lock and key. They are so desperate, they do not want an African to wake up. They want to deal with the enablers, African leaders that perpetuate control of the West, that help the neo-colonialists keep controlling Africa. These people are so desperate, they're going to do anything. Imagine banning a TikTok account just because this white young man spoke good things about Traore. These guys are desperate. They are so desperate. Africans, you better know how important you are to the balancing of the global rule and economy. Once Africans wake up, the entire world is going to be awake. So Traore is doing something that is giving every single globalist, neo-colonialist headache. They just can't control this. That's the more reason Africans need to wake up and talk about Traore every single day. Make it your personal goal. Because what this guy is doing, the inspiration is given to the African continent. We're just about to break the prison break. Just about. Good morning, my lovely people. Have you realized there's a systematic campaign by the Western media to brand Traore as a selfish guy stealing gold for his own benefit? The BBC said that the forces, the Burkinabe forces, are killing civilians as they fight terrorism. This is a very well systematic campaign. Now, we Africans, every podcaster, every content creator, we must come forth and give the true narrative of Burkina Faso and Ibrahim Traore. And I'm actually calling upon the Burkinabe people on the ground to give us information about what's happening in Burkina Faso, what Traore is doing to help his people. We must stop this fake media. We must stop this narrative. And the only way we do it is give the correct information. We cannot sit back. Now it's upon us to go out and give the correct information about Traore and Burkina Faso. We have to protect him. We have to be at the forefront doing these things, not just talking. Every podcaster, every content creator, come forward and tell us the good that Traore is doing for his people. We want to hear the Burkinabe people talking about the changes that have happened in that country.
Poor people are easily controlled. They can be controlled by anybody.
Wanaweza dhibitiwa na mtu yeyote.
Because they need handouts.
This is the biggest news in Africa. Ibrahim Traore has integrated herbal medication in the health system of Burkina Faso. Now, professors are training, teaching, and treating using African herbal medication. Guys, this is a big one. This is a big one. We are stepping away from neo-colonialism, big pharma, You know, I, as a fighter for food sovereignty and food security in Kenya and in Africa, this is the biggest news ever. The first country in Africa to integrate herbal medication, herbal treatment, and herbal education using plants, using herbs to treat our bodies. Kudos.
In a historic move, President Ibrahim Traore has officially integrated traditional medicine into every hospital in Burkina Faso. The groundbreaking policy is already transforming the nation's healthcare system. According to the country's top medical researchers, the use of indigenous herbs and roots, scientifically validated and administered by trained professionals, has achieved 100% recovery rates in many cases. Unlike conventional medicine that often manages conditions, these natural treatments are delivering full cures. This success comes from a powerful collaboration between Burkina Faso and China. Thousands of Burkinabe doctors have been trained through a bilateral agreement, equipping them to identify, harvest, and prepare medicinal plants with precision from forest to final dosage. Every herb is grown locally, no imports needed. The result? Massive job creation, youth training, and a booming new sector that's already generating billions in revenue. This is more than medicine. It's a movement, healing people, building an economy, and reclaiming Africa's ancient medical wisdom. Burkina Faso just changed the game.
My God, did you listen to that? What is that message meant for? To awaken us, to make us think critically about our choices, about our decisions, and about how to set up our country and our continent. And at this point, I think it's important for us not to depend so much on the leadership, because most of the leaders in Africa, except some few, are just puppets. So that's how they keep us under control. My God. They portray us as the worst in their media. They use the media actually to send this message that Africans are not doing well, Africans are poor. It's just a perception to make the world believe that we are doing so bad. And that is why I think when you ask or you interview an American or a European kid about Africa, what they'll tell you is that they only think of Africa as this poor nation or poor continent that people live outside, they don't have houses, they don't have food, only for them to be shocked after they are shown the major cities in Africa, Nairobi, South Africa, Nigeria, Cairo, you know. So, my good people, when our leaders, for instance, Ibrahim Traore, most of them are showing us the way. They are awakening us. But once they see such kind of leaders, they are quick to analyze them so that the message is not passed to Africans all over the continent. And that's one of the ways they keep us under control also. For Ibrahim Traore, around 20, I think around 20 assassination attempts have been made on him. They want to unalive him, imagine. I mean, these things, it's just good for us to learn so that we can stay awake. We need to protect our continent, honestly speaking. And also, guys, I mean, you know, this morning I was watching a video from a CEO. He owns or is the biggest shareholder in one of the biggest banks here in Kenya. And he was telling us it's really unfair for him to produce tea leaves. You know, he produces it and then exports it. When he was producing it, it was valued at 75 shillings. And then it was exported and processed and then imported back to the country. And now for a cup of tea, you have to pay like around 130 Kenyan shillings, which he didn't really find it okay, because it was like it's important for us to produce and also process them as well, so that he benefits and other farmers benefits, not those who do the end products. And guess what? That is one of the ways that they keep Africa under control. My God, you see these sanctions that are applied in countries? And guys, by the way, have you ever noticed that sanctions are mostly applied in African countries? Like majority of the countries are in Africa, and also some few Asian countries. I don't know if you have ever noticed. That is to only destabilize the currency of the country. And if you look into it, you'll actually find, you'll just notice that these countries that are sanctioned, they are either awakened, they are awoke, they don't want things to do with the West, they don't want to be controlled, left, right, center. And then they just place sanction on them just to destabilize their currency, and that means that they are going to suffer in some few ways. Africans, actually through these videos, we get to learn so much. So I talked about our education system sometimes back. And guess what? The education system also is part of putting us under control. They introduced a system that focused so much on memorization and not critical thinking. And that is why you are seeing some few African countries trying to change and embracing new education systems. For instance, in Kenya, there is competency-based system of education that focuses so much on practical or skills part of it. So when we talk about education system all over Africa, I think we really need to change, right? And then again, can you now talk about this, how they portray us as helpless? You can imagine these charities that come here to kind of like support the African child. It's actually a way of making us to be dependent on them, to make us think that we can't do without dependency. They don't want us to be like, we can solve our own problems. And it's so bad because in Africa, when you are given something, you are so happy. You just want to be helped all the time. And then when you look at people outside Africa, when you give them money, they will ask you, what have I done to deserve this, or for you to give me that money? What did I do? I always sit down and I'm like, this is something about culture. They are taught from when they were young, that you get money by working, It's a perception. But Africa, there is this perception of dependency. Like when there is a problem, America will come, Europe will come, I don't know which country will come and help us. So that's culture. And that some time back, there is a time when I was in high school, I visited a certain college. And then in this college, they were doing carpentry. And the teacher in charge, the one that was teaching this carpentry kind of thing, was asked by this charity organization, what would you like us to support you in terms of these schools or your class? And in his class, he talked about being given more desks, more tables. And then it kind of, shocked this particular organization because they expected him to suggest something else, like probably more sponsorship to students around the village, because some finish school, they don't have fees or they don't have money to continue with their education. They just finish form or high school level and they don't have any other skills. And remember, by then the education kind of system was memorization, not skill based. So later on, I came and I sat down and I was thinking, like, why were these people shocked? Like they were kind of not really, they didn't take that well. So I was like, I think this teacher messed up because they do carpentry, they have all the resources, and he's still requesting for chairs, tables. And yet he has students that he teaches how to create them, how to make this, so they would have just added them by probably asking for, funding, and then they create them on their own instead of importing used desks, used chairs because they are from Europe to Africa. I don't know if you get the gist. And then, in Africa, most of the parastatals organizations, most of the companies, I will say, they're being privatized left, right, center. And on the other side, you get that government hospitals or the health sector, the manufacturing, most of them, people will prefer to attend to private hospitals more than public, because of the mess that is happening. I know, guys, it's quite astonishing because in these developed countries, the public system is so strong, more than private. But here, most of the things are being privatized more than being made public. But after listening to this video, now I know it's just a way of keeping us under control. So it's up to us to choose whether to stop this culture of reliance or not. It's us to choose. Nobody else will choose for us. And now they want to introduce herbal education or incorporate herbal education and the modern education of system of medical education. I don't know how it will be like, guys. So I'll come back and talk more. I love you to the moon and back.